Last month, I made a video regarding the U.S. Treasury's decision to block transfers of funds to three Mexican financial institutions, Intercam, Vector, and Cbank. We have an account with Intercam Bank, which has 60 branches across Mexico, including 2 here in Ixtapas y Guatemala. And they additionally have an office in Miami and 1 in Puerto Rico. If you want the complete backstory on the United States reason for blocking transfers to these 3 banks, then please watch the video I put out last month. In this video, I'm going to give an update, a little bit of an update on what's going on with Intercam and a couple other options for transferring money into Mexico. And I'll touch a little bit more on the backstory stuff that I missed before. It's been really 6 weeks now, and there have been no updates at all from Intercam Bank. There was some misinformation published a few weeks back that stated the Mexican government had fined those 3 banks a combined 185 million pesos, which is $9.8 million, for non-compliance and administrative processes. But those fines were from 2023, 2 years ago, and the banks are appealing those fines. On July 15th, about 3 weeks after the U.S. placed the sanctions on the banks, Reuters released this story that read, a Mexican regulator on Tuesday slapped 3 financial institutions with administrative fines, but the government reiterated that despite U.S. sanctions on them for alleged money laundering, there was no conclusive evidence of wrongdoing. The finance ministry said in a statement, if we have conclusive information that proves illicit activities of these 3 financial institutions, we will act with the full force of the law. However, to date, we have no such information. The 3 have denied the U.S. allegations, and Mexico's government has said that the U.S. Treasury had not provided proof to back up its claims. Okay, so I talked to several employees at Intercam, and they told me again that this was old news from 2023 being reported as if the fines were related to the U.S. sanctions, and that the banks were appealing the fines and they expected to win those appeals. This has not just affected U.S. citizens in Mexico, but any foreigners that have accounts with these 3 financial institutions cannot complete international transfers. And you can't walk in with U.S. currency and deposit that either. It's only pesos right now. The fact that the actions were taken based on these accusations of money laundering is a little frustrating, that there's nothing to back it up as far as proof so far. Fraudulent romance scams cost consumers over $1 billion per year. Maybe we could focus on preventing those bank transfers? Anyway, a little more on the story that I missed from previously. This is from Bloomberg. Top banking executives gathered at a luxurious tourist resort on Mexico's Pacific coast met with an unexpected guest at an annual banking convention held in May. A senior official at the United States Treasury Department had flown there to issue a firm warning. Donald Trump's administration wanted to make it clear that business would not continue to be done as usual with banks suspected of collaborating with drug cartels, recently classified by the United States as terrorist organizations. The official told them that the U.S. would not hesitate to cut off access to its financial system. The message left banks all over Mexico wondering if they could be next if they were not meticulous when it came to eradicating the money from the cartel. I did a little more research, and this is a huge annual banking event in Mexico. It was held in Nuevo Nayarit, just north of Puerto Vallarta, and Mexico's new president, Claudia Sheinbaum, attended this event. So from what I understand, initially the blockage of international transfers was to take place 21 days after the first announcement from the U.S. Treasury on June 25th. The Mexican National Banking and Securities Commission took over those 3 financial institutions, and Mexico preemptively blocked international transfers so they could audit the banks. On the 30th of June, Visa put a block on those banks also. And then the U.S. Treasury said, cool, we threatened your banks and the Mexican government is doing something about it. So we're going to give you another 45 days to figure things out before all these sanctions officially kick in. So perhaps by September 4th, the new deadline, the Mexican government will have done enough in the eyes of the US government that these restrictions will be removed. There doesn't appear to be any consistency in the decisions that are being made right now in the US. So we just are trying our best to be ready for anything. I'm not going to get into the TACO acronym as it relates to the US foreign policy, but you can look it up on your own. Based on recent history, I'm a little optimistic that this entire mess will go away in the next 4 weeks. But it's a huge pain in the ass right now. Okay, so other ways to get money into Mexico. Wise. This is an app and a website. It's fairly easy to set up an account and then you link it to your home country bank account. Normally for us, we would move money from our US bank into our Wise account, then transfer that money into our Mexican bank account. But due to what's going on, we can't transfer from Wise, obviously, right now to Intercam. It just gets blocked. The US currency in our Wise account is earning 3.92% interest, and you can generally move money from your account in Wise to 160 countries, including Mexico, except those 3 banks at the moment. Okay, here are the reasons that Wise is the best option for moving money between countries, in my opinion. The US currency in our Wise account is earning that interest. You can move money from Wise to all those countries I just mentioned in 40 different currencies. And when you transfer money, you are paying the normal conversion rate. If I go to Mexico City, I'm in the airport right now, and exchange $200 US for pesos, they're going to give me about 3,100 pesos. And if I turn around and give them that 3,100 pesos, they're going to give me $150 US. You just get destroyed on the conversion rates doing these typical transfers. And the banks will take like maybe 5 or 6% on each side. Wise is going to give you the same rate on both sides, and they charge like $6 to complete the transfer. Remitly is another option. It's an app that you link to your home country's bank account, and you can send Mexican pesos to Oxxo, Soriana, Coppel, etc. You'll designate a recipient, and then that person, and only that person, can pick up the cash with their national ID or passport. You pay about 5% in fees, so you can send the equivalent of $475 US in Mexican pesos for like $500. For smaller amounts of money, this is a really good option. If you need to send thousands or tens of thousands of dollars to Mexico, then an international transfer is the way to go, either Wise or a direct transfer from your bank. And if none of those options work for you, then open up a bank account with one of the other banks here. And that's what a lot of people are doing right now, because for some people it is an emergency trying to get money down here. So that could be our next video, dealing with the banks. It's really not a simple process where you walk in with $5 and then you walk out 10 minutes later with a savings account and a bank branded water bottle. So we'll get into that in another time. All right, thanks for watching. Take care.